So as the big three report and we get a little bit of a bucket of cold water from Jerome Powell, he's saying no rate cut in December guaranteed, and rate expectations quickly repriced to a 32% chance that rates are not going to be cut in December. So this was the last rate cut you're going to get. It is also the SEP meeting in December as the Fed cites inflation is running hot and rampant, and that risk to the dual mandate is in jeopardy. So my answer to that is U.S. government, open the you-know-what up faster so we can get this man his data so the mandate can no longer be in tension, that the job numbers can actually be reported on, and that these earnings can start becoming a whole lot better. Because, the M's, more like M patterns, right? Just absolute crap. NVIDIA, 5 trillion. Congratulations to you, sir. Meta in after hours. Oh boy. Not complaining about this just because I'm going to get to be able to buy Meta way cheaper. Coming down to the 200-day moving average, holding around there. But is this going to be a Netflix? Is this going to be a Netflix where we just go to the 200, crash and burn, and sayonara, still below 200 in after hours? But there are some call outs and a IPO that's coming in 2026 that I will be buying because, oh my God, that one's going to be crazy. And it's probably going to be the most insane IPO to date. But we'll talk about that in just a second. So make sure you guys stay tuned to the very end. So what happened to Meta? What happened to Microsoft? What happened to Google? Notice how I didn't say Google there in the beginning. Meta had none of them had horrific earnings. So Meta's thing is they said capital expenditures are going to be bigger in the total range, right? So this was the total range, and they went like this. They didn't lie to you and didn't really change expectations. They just said, hey, the bottom of the range is no longer accurate. So this is the result. 9% down in after hours. I think it's completely overblown. I will be buying it above $678. I own Meta, right? So I will be a little bit underwater on the shares for it. However, I'll be looking at this as a buying opportunity. Same with Microsoft. Microsoft just literally erased 3 days of gains on earnings, coming down to the 50-day moving average. Again, giving you all an amazing buying opportunity. And this is the weird one. It beat on everything. Both of these beat on almost everything. Green earnings, green EPS. And the reason Microsoft is really trading lower is the partnership with OpenAI. Whereas NVIDIA is running to OpenAI for reasons we'll discuss in this video and crossing the $5 trillion market cap. Throw it down in the comment section below. When is it going to hit 6? Because we're not even at earnings yet. And I am happier than a pig in mud because of NVIDIA. Love this company to death. I think Palantir is going to be the next NVIDIA. If not for this one company that's IPOing in 2026. And that company is OpenAI. OpenAI aims for IPO filing in 2026. Will be listed in 2027. The IPO could be value the company at $1 trillion. Hell, I think I would value this thing at $2 trillion. To be honest with you, this is probably the one IPO that will go to the stratosphere and could see some insane evaluations. Oh yeah, and Donald Trump's talking at the time of recording this video with Xi Jinping, and we could see massive news. So everything I said in this video about bearishness could absolutely get thrown right out the window with this. And speaking of fear and greed, we finally got to 42 the previous day, and today we closed at 42. That's right. 39 previously, 42 now. So the needle is slowly cranking its way back up. And what you could expect naturally is the bears are screaming bloody murder because you know all the levels we gave you guys this weekend. And if you did miss that video, make sure you guys are subscribed so you know when those videos come out. And we basically said above 678.42 and the market's like, hold my beer, to the moon I go. Now the question is, are we going to retrace back to these levels of 675 with Jerome Powell throwing cold bucket of water, with Amazon and Apple on deck in the next 4 hours? Can they basically stutter step the bad news that occurred today? And is everyone just basically going to have a party as always with earnings? Throw down in the comment section below what you think. I personally think that the party is just getting started. This bear squeeze is just kicking off. And we can look at risk on assets like Bitcoin to kind of give us an indication. Still hovering up between the 50 and the kangaroo of the 200. So that's not really telling us anything besides everyone's a little cool, calm, collective. VIX having a little bit of bump today with Jerome Powell's language. And also we can look at yields. They went green, bada bing, bada boom, because the man told you no rate cuts, right? So this thing went right back to 4%. I made a comment in yesterday's video. It has not been a long time since we saw a 3 in front, and that was boop, goodbye, had your fun, adios, sayonara. So again, yields heading up higher because everyone's expecting yields to go. So with the latest news for Meta, this is where things get interesting, right? Are we going to hold the 50-day, or sorry, the 200-a-day? If we don't, this is starting to get bearish, and we're starting to retrace back to 600 because that's the next psychological number that Meta is previously held right around that 660 number. So again, there with Netflix, how it's holding, how Meta, it definitely could spur on the Santa Claus rally because it is a traditionally bullish time of the year. Same way with Microsoft. Just this thing ran up into earnings and got some bad news, right? So it's going to consolidate for probably around the 50-day moving average like it's been, and then get some good news. And honestly, it could consolidate all the way up to NVIDIA earnings at the end of the month, or when we get job numbers, or when we get anything bullish, because this is not even bad, right? Like the bulls pushed all the way, and then the bears slapped them down, but not all the way, right? Like we started this whole range basically here, and we just barely got back down to there, and buyers stepped right back in to buy it, right? They weren't really excited to buy it here, but they're more excited to buy it here. Same thing with Goog, right? Goog, on the other hand, just said to the moon we go, 300, and I called it out in yesterday's video that Goog 300 is probably imminent. This thing's up like a nice, just after hours, up 7%. So really all the money being taken out of Microsoft and Meta, put into Google and NVIDIA and Pound here. And is it going to be bullish for Amazon tomorrow? Let's take a look at the charts. Again, we were talking about Google the other day, how this was just a massive turnaround. But Amazon, this thing looks like it's weakening, coming right to a resistance zone. So earnings are make it or break it for them. Apple, similar story, but a lot more impulse into there. I expect Apple to have good earnings just because smart money has been buying this prior to its earnings, putting a lot of gaps on the chart. This sets up to be a beautiful run to the upside, and Apple, being the second largest company in the world, has the ability to drag the rest of the market with it, because we just saw NVIDIA 3%, managed to drag the S&P and the NASDAQ still green, even in after hours with this bad news, right? So just looking at the 4-hour, it looks like we should or have a pullback. But if a China deal comes out and a certain chip company and China is buying from them, you heard it here first, and I told you so, because Trump and Xi Jinping are great friends, and Jensen wants that deal to go through because he Trump's got something for him in it. That's what I'm thinking. Again, not financial advice or any trading advice that should be taken literally. I do not have any inside information, but just saying that's one of them. I did sell Berkshire Hathaway because this company has just been falling off a cliff. So it's kind of similarly sad to say that once Warren Buffett left, this company fell from grace. Out of all the financial stocks, I do think Berk's just heading lower. I think Berk's heading down to 459. That's why I sold it for a slight loss. But I'm like, that was I own one share of it, so I'm not really love loss over it. So if you guys aren't love loss about the market, check out the latest 2 videos, bottom left, as well as the precursor video for the earnings, so you knew exactly what we were talking about prior, and then this analysis, you kind of piece things together. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.